Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners. Tonight we're going to be talking a lot about music and its incredible ability to take us back, either to a specific time, an emotion, or even a person. For today's guest, music has been providing much more than background ambience or a nice beat. It's a permanent connection to her late father and a way to honor his legacy. When Jula's dad passed away, he left her a treasure trove. It was his massive vinyl record collection that numbered in the tens of thousands and that spanned both decades and genres, from opera to spoken word to new wave. The collection was about as broad and nuanced as he was. At first, it felt overwhelming, shelves and shelves of dusty records. But what started out as a personal exploration into the sounds that moved her father soon became something even bigger. This summer, Jula decided to start pulling out records from the collection and sharing her reactions and thoughts on social media. What happened next was, I guess the birth of Canada's latest viral hit. Her account, Sound Waves Off Wax, exploded, amassing hundreds of thousands of followers who connected not only with her story, but with their memories tied to the music in her dad's collection. I'm one of the many people who got caught up in her reviews, and I wanted to learn more, and, I thought I'd take you along for the ride with me. So let's get into it. Tonight, Jula is going to be joining us to share her story of music, community, connection, healing, and the power of music. So let's drop the needle and get started.
My father passed away and I inherited all of his records. It took me 2 weeks to alphabetize them all. And thus, I've decided to embark on a listening journey. I'm going to randomly pull one out, listen to it, and document my listening on here. My goal is to learn more about music, about my father, and connect with other music lovers.
Jula, just to start, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, because I only know the basics. Really, I only know what you see on Instagram.
Well, my name's Jula. I don't really know what to say about myself. I love to dance. I have a cat. I make experimental electronic music. I like singing. Simple girl.
Yes, yeah. I've seen your cat several times. When I watch your videos, I often think how allergic I would be if it wasn't digital, between the dusty records and your cat.
Yeah. Her cat hair everywhere mixed in.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking a lot about you and your dad and his records. So tell me a bit about him as well. Like, what was your dad's life like? What was your relationship with him like? Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, my father was just like a very simple man. He worked as an English teacher and he just loved music. And he always had dreams of being a disc jockey. Like, he always wanted to be on the radio. He was always making playlists, and he got really into like making mixtapes on CDs later on. And he was always writing songs, and he was really into songwriting. Like, I have so many memories of him just like reading lyrics to me and being like, it means this, and see, this is a double entendre. You know who else does that? Like, yeah. He was really into lyrics. He loved it. As an English teacher, he was always looking for the poetry and the music.
You're a musician yourself, so I guess music was something that you were probably born in a home with lots of music, but was it something as well that you bonded with your dad over? Like, did you guys enjoy music together?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was never a time when my father was around where there wasn't music playing. And then anytime, like, he was always just talking about what we were listening to, whether it was something I was playing, something he was playing, or somebody would come over and bring something. It was always, we were all talking and sharing music.
Cool. And as we'll get into here with you going through his record collection, one thing that's obvious is it's such a diverse collection. I was surprised to see you pull out an AC/DC album at one point, in addition to all this weird old folk stuff. But it definitely seems to be someone who was into a lot of different stuff. Let's get into his record collection. So when your dad passed away, it was you that inherited his record collection. How did this come about? Why you? How did you end up with the records? How did you learn you were getting the records? Walk me through it.
Actually, nobody wanted the records other than me. So my mom and my sister both kind of wanted to sell them and have like more room in the house.
Mm.
And he had a really big CD collection as well. And we got rid of all of his CDs, but I just really wanted the records. I wasn't really sure why, but I just, they're so big and there's something about them that is like feels like a jewel. Maybe from being in such a digital age that having that, but yeah, that's how I got them. Just nobody else wanted them.
Yeah. When you say he had a large collection, looking at your videos, it's hard to get a sense of exactly how much is there, but it does look like a lot. Give me an idea, like how many like how large of a collection is this that you took on?
It's probably around like 10,000 because it's like in that room and then there's another wall and then actually right outside of that bedroom is more records.
It looks more like a library. Like for people who haven't seen your videos, it looks to me like you're in like a record library. There's just racks of records behind you, is how it
Yeah.
appears.
Well, that's how it feels. My bed is in there now, so I'm like sleeping in this little
Oh my
library.
goodness. And making
Yeah.
videos. That's
Yeah.
you're very dedicated to this.
Yeah.
Uh, you said nobody wanted the records and you couldn't bear to see them go. I assume a
hmm
lot of that is one, yeah, you love music and there's a lot of music history in there, but I'm sure another part of this is you're connected to your late father through this record collection. Is that fair to say, or is
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he loved his records
Mhm.
and he loved playing records even later on in his life. Like he was always still putting the vinyl on when we would have company over. He would be like he would just like always like changing, flipping the record over. He would be talking about what's playing on the turntable and be like, "Oh, you like this?" And he would like run downstairs and grab another one and put it on.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you said it yourself, like we live now in this kind of digital age where like
hmm
a digital playlist or, it's just almost this meaningless cycle of music that can pass by. But with a record, it's like you get the large artwork. There's the ritual of like actually putting the record on and running the anti-dust cloth over it and having to flip sides. It's a bit more of a commitment, which requires you to I compare like listening to a record almost like going to a theater to see a movie. Like you kind of got to sit down and be involved in it. Where having a Spotify playlist cycling through a certain genre or something, it's just so effortless and in a way less meaningful, I think. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. And really just we fall so much to algorithmic listening that, it's not like going to the shop and looking through things, not really knowing if you pick something new, maybe it's from the cover, maybe somebody recommended you the album or you heard about it in a magazine. Whereas now we just kind of, I don't know, even now with like Smart Shuffle on Spotify,
mm,
that you just like Smart Shuffle and it's giving you new music and creating these little playlists for you based on your taste already.
yeah. Back in the day, you had to kind of work to find new music.
hmm
I remember this may be before your time, but I remember there was this service that you could order CDs from. I can't remember what they were called, but they had a 1-800 number, and when you dialed the 1-800 number, you could using like the numbers and the letters on the keypad of the phone, you could if you wanted to find, let's just say Black Sabbath, you could type in like BLAC, and it would give you the list of all the albums that were available, and you could order it through the phone, but you could also hear samples. And I remember going to the mall and using the payphone, and because you could call 1-800 from numbers from a payphone, and there was certain bands that I like heard their name referenced or saw ads or something for them, but I had no way to hear their music. So I would go to the mall and listen to the first like 15 seconds of all the songs on the album. Because back then there was a time where you would buy a CD or a tape or whatever it was, and you get it home and it just wasn't at all what you thought. And they were expensive back then too. It was a different time, and I believe maybe like you and your dad, that it was a more special time with physical media, and it's a shame that that's kind of
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I didn't have this experience, but even now with listening to the records, like sometimes I'll know the band, but I'll know like a couple of their hit songs, and I'll put the record on, and then I'll find some really good things. Or sometimes I think like maybe I'm assuming this happens like if you have a small collection and you just kind of throw one on that you don't listen to very often, even if you don't like it, and maybe that you like create like a relationship with that album.
Welcome to another day of listening to my late father's record collection. What are we going to listen to today? Today we're going to listen to a 1966 release, Aftermath by the Rolling Stones. Let's give it a listen.
I pledge myself to Lady J.
This is a pretty well-known band. Don't think it's their most popular album though. It's rock, pop, and a little bit bluesy. It has the classic rock band setup, but also has a nice experimentation of different kinds of instruments. You've got the famous Mick Jagger voice with some raw production. There were some fun production choices on this album, like the opening piano in the song Fight 505. My favorite track would have to be Lady Jane. It's a more soft, delicate song off of the album. There's this really wistful interplay between the acoustic instruments. I really loved kind of the medieval Baroque-esque style of this song. It was really unexpected. If you guys listen to this album, do you want to paint it black? And have a wonderful weekend.
I want to get into what brought us together today, which is your Instagram account where you're sharing your, I guess, journey or exploration through your dad's record collection. Start at the beginning. What led you to decide to, for one, start flipping through his records and listening to stuff you've never heard before, but also what led to you deciding to share that through your like Instagram and TikTok account?
Yeah, like I said to you earlier, I had moved back into my family house and my bedroom, like my bed, I moved my bed into that room because it was like the most isolated part of the house. And I kind of just like thought it would be nice to wake up in the morning and first thing in the morning play a record to start my day off. So I was doing that for a little bit, and then sometimes my friends would come over and I would like put the records on because it'd be sitting in my bedroom. And I started talking to my friend one day just about how my dad used to always talk to me about the records, and I was, always having a dialogue of music throughout my whole life with my father. And now that's kind of gone away, and like I'll like listen to the records by myself and I'll think about them, and maybe I'll mention one to my mom, but just like kind of missing that part of my life a lot. And my friend was like, you should post on Instagram and like make reels, and she was like, I'm sure somebody will talk to you about them, like at least a couple of people will be interested in the records or know a lot of facts about them. That's when I started doing them, like within that week.
Wow. It sounds kind of like a sad, humble beginning. Like maybe you'll find someone who will care about these old records. But I know you now with like hundreds of thousands of people caring about these records. So I guess it worked out. So and your videos, it seems like from the very beginning, you kind of had this kind of format or style down. You kind of run your fingers across the wall of records.
Welcome to another day of listening to my late father's record collection.
What are we going to listen to today?
You
grab something.
Today we're going to listen to a 1984 release, The Smiths' Hateful of Hollow. Let's give it a listen.
So you start going on Instagram, making these reels, playing the records, and just giving your 1 minute or a 30-second review of the album is generally what you do. When did it start to catch on, and when did you realize like, oh man, like, people are digging this?
Honestly, it was from like the second video, because the first video I made went viral, and then I was really nervous because I was like, because it was just like an introductory video. And I remember the first video I made, I was so nervous. I was like, because that video, I overnight, I got like, I think like 20,000 followers. And I was like, now I have to make a video for 20,000 people. Like, now what?
You said to your friend, like, what did you get me into here?
Yeah, I was like, what? Now what? I was so nervous. And that one just did really well too. And I was like, okay, this is easy. It's coming natural for me.
What was the first album you did?
I did the Moody Blues,
okay.
Long Distance Voyager.
Mm-hmm. And you have a tremendous amount of people following along and commenting and watching, but give me a sense of it. Like, who are you hearing from? What kind of people are following you? What kind of messages are you getting? Like who are the all of these people that you've managed to connect with so quickly and easily, seemingly?
Yeah, I lots of people. I like obviously music lovers. I have a really wide range of different ages who watch my videos. It's really nice listening to people talk to me about the first time they've listened to this album, and they'll write me a little anecdote of, oh, my sister had this and I'd always hear it from the other wall, or my grandfather gave me this. And older people tell me. I also have a lot of young people who will be like, oh, I'm gonna sample this song, or
Mm,
and they're like a lot of musicians
yeah,
listen to my music.
yeah.
And then I have like some more popular musicians who follow me, and yeah, even like bands like Silver Sun Pickups watch my videos and they comment on every single one of them, which is really
That is
cool.
so cool. And I can see
Yeah.
how it's such like an eclectic mix of people that'll find it because your dad's record collection, it's there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Like there's you'll one post will be like some obscure folk album from like early 60s. The next one will be, you did this weird comedy album that didn't seem funny at all. You have, like I said, AC/DC and, the
Yeah.
classics like, Bowie and all that kind of era. But it seems like your dad was just into everything. And then you sharing it, on Instagram and TikTok the way you do, it's just like, it's casting like a very weird net over the internet and collecting an odd group of people.
Mm, no, for sure. It's cool. Like I honestly didn't know he had such an eclectic record collection. So even for me, I'm pulling things out and being like, what?
Yeah, well, it's cool for people who know that music. It's cool to see a younger person experience it for the first time. Like even
Mm,
me, like I don't consider myself like an old person, but I see you like hearing for the first time stuff that to me I just assumed everybody in the world knew it. I don't think I can give a great example. Maybe was it a Blondie album? I think it was a Blondie album you listened to, and it seemed like you weren't that familiar with Blondie's music, and that kind of surprised me. But I could see how like a lot of people would enjoy seeing like a fresh reaction to the music that they're so familiar with. But it's also a great way for people to learn about music that they would have missed that would have been over their radar.
yeah, or they'll like know their hit songs, and then I'll like talk about the album, and they're like, oh, like maybe I should listen to this.
Hmm.
Hello, and welcome to another day of listening to my late father's record collection. What are we going to listen to today? Today we're going to listen to the 1982 release, Kissing to Be Clever by Culture Club. Let's give it a listen. This album is filled with that classic 80s sound and is pop with some hints of reggae in some of the songs. It's energetic and bouncy, gay, and filled with good tracks to dance to. I really enjoyed the funky bass lines and the different instruments that were happening. My favorite song off of this album would have to be, I know cliche would be Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I think it's iconic for a reason. It's a catchy song with a steady groove throughout, and although a introspective kind of sad song, still upbeat. I also just want to say how fun Boy George's voice sounds. It's such a fun song to sing along to. What do you guys think about it? Thoughts?
I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and the fact that it's with your dad's records. I can't help but ask, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but is this a way, like, and you've made it clear yourself, you've missed the kind of conversations you were having with your dad about music, but it seems like to me what you found was like a very creative and fulfilling way to process your grief. Is that fair to say, or am I reading too deep into it?
No, I think absolutely. It's just given me like kind of like in a way like the people who are watching my videos and commenting on my videos, or just keeping that dialogue I had throughout my whole life with my father, which is really nice. Like I was saying to you earlier, I really do miss talking to him about music. Like I'll hear a song and be like, oh, I should show him. And then, and then I'll just remember he's not here. So this way, I don't know, it feels like I'm continuing that. I also feel really grateful for him in a way that I'm doing this because, like I said, he always wanted to be a disc jockey, and
Mhm.
I'm now sharing like his record collection with other people. That this is like I'm like living out his dream right now.
Yeah, wow.
So,
That is a funny twist in it, but in a
mhm.
way, you're just kind of curating it. So he is like a disc jockey. Your dad is basically like a
Yeah,
famous Instagrammer. He just has his daughter hosting it for him.
yeah, exactly. Like this is what he always wanted in his life. I want this now, but like for him, he would love to have these people talking to him about the records. I'm sure he would have a lot more to say,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel really grateful for him as
Mhm.
well.
And it's also something like a lot of older people, they have these collections that are kind of meaningless to anybody else. And if anything,
Hmm.
it's almost a burden where they pass it on to their kids. Like I'm just picturing like a collection of Royal Dalton dolls or something, if you know what they are. But
Hmm.
generally the person who owned this stuff, they cherish it and it was important to them and they just want to see someone else enjoy it. I
Hmm.
can only imagine like how your dad would feel seeing you excited talking about his collection and other people chiming in. Like like what do you think his response would be if he could see what you were doing and see these comments, or if he
I
does,
think
what do you think
he would just be crying tears of joy. I don't know. I think his heart, like in the Grinch, not that he was the Grinch, but like his heart would grow three sizes. Like I honestly, would be so surreal for him.
Mm, I bet.
Yeah,
What are the next steps for you? So at this point, you've managed very quickly. Like, when did you start this? I didn't ask that, and I have no idea.
in September.
Wow. So in 3 months,
Yeah.
you've gained a huge following of people excitedly watching you give short reviews of your dad's record collection.
Hmm.
What's going to happen with this? What is your plan? Where's this going to go?
For right now, I don't have too much of a plan. I mean, I wasn't expecting this, so I'm just really grateful right now for this experience I'm having. My plan is to continue listening to the records. Maybe I'll start making some more longer videos. I get a lot of comments. People want me to have a podcast or start a YouTube channel. So maybe to do something like that. I have like an idea. I have a lot of soundtracks, like movie soundtracks.
Mm,
So maybe to like watch the movie from and then listen to the soundtrack.
mm,
That could be like a long form video. I'm not sure.
hmm. For people who are listening and want to watch your videos and follow along as you make more and maybe get through all 10,000-ish records, where do they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and TikTok under Sound Waves Off Wax.
And I'll, of course, add links to it in the episode for people who want to follow along. Eula, this has been awesome. Like, I love your videos. In hearing the music, I'm learning a lot about the different artists and eras and albums. Learning a lot about you and your dad, and getting to talk to you has just been great. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Jordan. It's been so nice chatting with you, and I'm really excited to hear how this goes and to listen to some of your other podcasts. They sound really cool. Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Nighttime. If you enjoyed this episode, I recommend seeking out Jula on Instagram or TikTok. Her handle is Soundwaves Off Wax. And if you have any trouble finding her, I've added direct links in this episode's description. And with that said, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, I'm going to end with thanks. First, a big thanks to Jula for sharing an evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big thanks to Monty Datta, who contributes the music for this episode, and Linz from Dystopian Simulation Podcast, who provides my intro and outro voiceovers. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thanks goes out to each and every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this show would be impossible. On the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed. Sue, Jessica, and Chloe, we appreciate you. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early and give them to you ad-free and give you access to a back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media and telling all your like-minded friends why they should listen. Your support is very much appreciated. And until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
The Nighttime Podcast is written, hosted, and produced by Jordan Bonaparte.
Is there any rhyme or reason to what you select? Is it actually random? Are you just, or do you know in advance? What's the secret?
For the most part, it's pretty random. The only thing I'm really starting to do now, more than the beginning, is because I put little sheets of paper next to the ones I've already listened to. So I'll kind of just go to areas that have less paper, and I'll just kind of pull randomly from there. And then on special occasions, I'll pick one.
Of course, yes. You did Blue Christmas, the Elvis album recently. That could have been random.
Just so happens. It's Christmas album today. What?